Let's get it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the SchuZ Show. Hope you guys are having a phenomenal start to your guys' week on this Monday. I hope you guys also had a great weekend as well. There's going to be a lot of different boxing stuff we're going to get into, as well as some boxing fight recaps from this past weekend and some boxing news as well. But before I get into all those different things, I have a very special guest joining me to kick off today's show. This is a man that started off his career 1-0 now. He's a 2024 Olympian, goes by the nickname Hard Rock, and that's none other than Jahmal Harvey. Jahmal, appreciate you taking time to come on today, man.
I appreciate you for having me.
Of course, man. Well, first things first. I know it's been a few weeks removed from it now, but you officially are a pro, major pro debut, 1-0. How's it feel?
I feel great. Got my pro career started off to a great start. 1-0, 1 KO. Just looking to keep moving forward and get big fights later on down my career.
Now, I'm curious because you had a very incredible overall amateur career. You know, we're going to talk about that momentarily, but you talk about the transition. Obviously, those that know boxing know there's quite the difference between amateur styles, the way you approach a fight there as opposed to a pro fight. Would you say the transition went pretty smoothly for yourself? Has it been a little bit difficult, or how was that transition from the amateur ranks to the pro ranks?
I feel like the transition was pretty easy for me. Like,
Okay.
my caliber of fighting, I can adjust pretty well to anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel. And I've been around the pro game, like sparring the pros, sparring champions in the pros too.
Okay.
In those type of training camps, so already was like pretty adjusted.
Who are some of those guys you were able to spar with leading up to this point where you feel like, you know, you were ready for this moment?
For the most part, my main main sparring partner helped me get ready with Joe and Shorty all White.
Okay. Now, I also want to ask about this aspect because, you know, you go in there round one and you get the knockout. Obviously, it was a pretty quick fight for yourself, but what would you say you learned from it? Is there things that you look back at and you say, okay, I know I still could have done this better. I could have done this better. Was it just kind of just getting the fight with your belt, or how did you and what did you kind of take away from that first fight?
It was pretty short. I ain't feel like I said when I was fine. I didn't even get started, get warmed up, really.
Mm-hmm.
Hit him with like 2 or 3 combinations, and I guess he realized he want to be in there no more.
Absolutely. Now, I also am curious about this because you're obviously a very young fighter. You know, you're early 20s, 22 years old, just getting going now. But there's always that balance, you know, not wanting to rush it too quickly and go, you know, fight top guys right away. You want to build yourself up. So, what is the game plan for yourself? You know, is there like a 1, 2, 3 year game plan, just kind of getting a lot of fights underneath your belt, getting more experience? Or what's the overall game plan for yourself as you look to, you know, the future and preparing yourself now for a possible world championship run in the future?
I the trust my team really really a lot of pro stuff work this
Hey, one sec. Your audio is cutting in and out right now. Let me see what's going on. One sec. I'm going to go quick commercial break. Welcome back, everyone. So, Jamal, I want to pick up right where we left off, and that was, discussing what your future looks like, because obviously it's going to be a process in terms of building yourself back up, getting yourself into a position to, be a world champion in the future. When you talk about those progression stages, what's the game plan? What's the outline for yourself in terms of, staying busy, trying to get a lot more fights, you're building a process? What does that look like?
It just looked like trusting in my team, like I was saying before, and just take care of my part and being a fighter. Making sure I'm in shape. Sorry, I can hear myself. It's throwing me
Is that
off.
going again? Let me see.
Nah, it's cool though.
All right.
Yeah, but like I was saying, just take care of my responsibility as a fighter. Staying in shape, staying in the gym, and trusting in my team. Make sure my coaches set me up with the right training, right sparring partners. My team MVP. Make sure just when they set up my fights, make sure I'm ready to go. I know they're gonna move me the right way.
All right. So when you talk about when you want to make that jump and you say, I'm ready to start making that top 15 jump, then you're going to start working your way to world champion. Is this something where you see yourself being in that position 18 months from now, 2 years from now, 3 years, shorter than that? Like, what's the overall, in the back of your mind? Obviously, you don't know what's going to happen, but in the back of your mind,
Mhm.
when do you want to be in that position?
I want to be in that position in 3 to 4 years.
Okay. Perfect. I want people to get to know your story as well. We'll pick back up with some future stuff in the end, but I want to go back to the very beginning. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you obviously grew up in Maryland, and the very first sport you grew up playing was football. That's the one you were all going in at. So I have to ask about that then. What was about football that you loved growing up?
I don't know. My father helped me fall in love with it. As a
Mhm.
kid, he just was always throwing a football around, playing man. I just was around football since I was young.
And then I believe it was your football coach that actually introduced you into boxing. So tell us about that story. How did that all happen?
It all happened after football season. He was just telling us, all the kids on the team, yeah, come up to the gym, stay in
Okay.
shape, stay doing something. Because I was only playing football at one point in time. Then I started doing boxing, basketball, just to stay in shape.
At that point in time, prior to actually going to the boxing gym, starting to stay in shape at that point in time, did you expect football to be the one that you wanted to pursue and go all in on, or was there ever something else you were considering in life?
Yeah, I was all in on football.
Okay.
I was all in. But as I got older and I was starting to move with other coach, it was just and it was little league, so it was like a lot of daddy ball. So
Hmm.
they dad be the coach, and you just don't get looked at. You get looked over. You're a small kid. Everybody was always bigger than me. But if I had my chance, I'm gonna score. It's a funny story because it was one particular team. I had went back to a team and they didn't have want to give me the ball when we made the playoff, and it was the last play of the game to a team we had already lost to twice,
Okay.
and they gave me the ball in the last play, and I scored, and I won. And then the next game, they tried to stop me,
Mm.
but we lost. But I was like, man, that's crazy.
So did you feel like I know actually quite a few boxers I've had on before, talk about the aspect that they love about boxing is that it's all about yourself. Doesn't there's not a team around you. Obviously, you have your team around your corner, but when you step in that ring, it's all about Jamal. It's can you whatever happens is on your shoulders in that fight. Would you say
Mm-hmm.
that aspect is something that you like about boxing?
Definitely,
Okay.
definitely, I like that. It's just as long as I know I do what I had to do, I should be victorious.
When you first started boxing, did the love all of a sudden just shift all the way into boxing that moment in time? Did it take time to develop, or when would you say you actually fell in love with the sport?
No, I was still playing football, so
Okay.
boxing was like something I was just doing on the side. And then my first year in the boxing, I wasn't really that good. I mean, I wasn't bad, but I wasn't traveling, going to like national tournaments. So when I first started doing that, I fell in love with it because I got to travel. And then I won my first national tournament that I ever went to, and I was ranked number one.
Would you say, or what age was that when you were kind of decide, you know what, I'm going to go all in on boxing? What age was that for yourself?
13.
All right. So that's obviously a little bit later because some guys obviously start when they're really young for yourself. Are you shocked then at how successful you were as an amateur? Because just to read some accolades that you accomplished: 2021 AIBA World Champion, 2023 Pan American Games gold medalist, 10-time national champion. You're an Olympian. If I would have told that 13-year-old Jahmal that, hey, you're going to accomplish all of these things in your amateur career, what would have went through your mind?
13-year-old me. Changed a lot. Boxing changed me for the better.
Hmm.
But I would thought you just talking.
Okay.
I'm I, even now, like people like, oh yeah, you're gonna go to the limit. You're gonna go to the limit. I used to be like, I just got work to get there. I don't
Hmm.
want to hear it. I want to do it.
All right. Would you say you had confidence that you're capable of accomplishing that, or is it more so just saying, you didn't really know what to expect, you just kind of were going with the flow, and as these things kept happening, you just kind of learned and kind of grew in your confidence then?
Yeah, just going with the flow.
Okay.
Always having a great team around me. My mom and dad, my coach, just trusting in them. They take me to the tournaments, take me to practice.
When would you say you decided and you figured out that, okay, I have the capabilities of being a very good amateur, possibly even going pro in the future? When did that start to settle in for yourself?
It's still settling in now.
All right.
Um, you got to get better every day. I don't feel like I'm the best boxer, but I do try my hardest when I'm in the ring.
Hmm.
But every day I'm trying to prove myself. I'm trying to prove something to myself.
So if I were to ask you that question right now, what are you trying to prove to yourself at this moment in time? How would you answer that?
That I could be the biggest star. I could go forward with this and take over the sport.
All right. Now I want to go into your Olympic run. We rewind a little bit over a year ago now. You end up making the Olympic team. I just want to start off with that point right there because that is something that for any athlete, being a part of the Olympics is one of the biggest dreams. You accomplished that. You know you're going to be going to Paris for the Olympics. What went through your mind when you heard that?
I got a question.
Yeah.
Do it sound like I'm slurring my words?
No, you sound good on this
It
end. No,
sound
you
regular?
sound yeah, you
Okay,
sound good
so
right
it's
now.
like
Yeah.
it's a delay in the headphone,
Oh,
and
for real?
it's
That's
like
weird.
slow. Like I'm talking slower.
That's weird. No, you're sounding perfect right now on my end, at least on the official end. So you should be good.
Okay, can you react to the question?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So I want to rewind now. We go back to 2024, and you hear the word that you're going to be a part of the Olympics. That's one of the biggest dreams for any athlete, any sport. When you originally find out that you're going to be heading to Paris for the 2024 Olympics, what went through your mind?
I got to lock in, win it all.
Mm.
Like that was the hardest I ever trained in my life.
As that came upon you and you know that you're going to be an Olympian now, was there any pressure as you went out there? Or how did you handle that from a mental standpoint?
No, it's never no pressure with me.
Okay.
If I win, I'm in training. I mean, that's the most pressure I'm gonna have. Just making sure that I'm prepared. But
Right.
going out there, actually being in the ring, it's never no pressure because I know I did everything leading up to
Mhm.
prepare me for this moment.
As you were experiencing this, now we'll talk about the actual Olympics and being inside the ring momentarily, but just the overall atmosphere. You get to be a part of the Team USA atmosphere. You're traveling with, some of the greatest athletes in all the world to ever live. As you're experiencing this entire this experience, what would you say are some of your favorite memories just from being in Paris during that time span?
My favorite experience, just walking out. I say walking out in an Olympic, seeing my family faces in the crowd,
Yeah.
hearing the crowd go crazy. That was just a surreal moment. And then leading up to the Olympics, my first fight, I had to fight my long-time rival that I've been fighting since youth. And then
Mm.
I got a comeback victory over him. I was down 3-2 the first two rounds,
Right.
but it was like it flipped, like it was split. Like you need to win 3 out of 5
Hmm.
out of all the rounds combined. So coming coming back from being coming back from I can't do it. coming, oh, coming back from being behind the first two rounds, and then leaving my all in the ring that third round, and then hearing my name called, man, it felt so great.
When you look back on that experience, what would you say is the biggest lesson that you took away, whether that be from a personal standpoint, becoming a man, being an athlete in the ring, both? What's the biggest lesson you learned from that experience?
Live in a moment. It's go by so quick. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's a moment you never gonna get back. You just had to be there. You
Right.
just can't get it back. It's in the past now.
All right. So when you talk about experience, and obviously you didn't get the medal that you obviously wanted to when you went out there, was that something that was difficult for yourself, or how did you overcome that aspect? Because I know that was obviously your dream to become a gold medalist, or at least a
Mm.
medal. How did you deal with that?
I don't even know. Probably still on me today. Not really. I went out there and tried my hardest. I left it all in the ring, so
Mm-hmm.
I just can't be mad. At
Right.
first, I was just a little salty about the decision because I felt like I did everything right that I needed to do to win. Landing clean shots, dropping them with clean shots, and I wasn't getting a nod.
For sure. All right, so I'm curious about this next aspect for yourself because the Olympics wrap up September of 2024. You end up not signing and officially declaring that you can go pro up until just about 8 or 9 weeks ago now. What
Mm-hmm.
was going on that year for yourself roughly? What was going through your mind? Were you considering staying in the amateur ranks and possibly going for the 2028 Olympics? Did you have other people you were discussing for pro opportunities, or what was going on in your life during that 1 year span?
I was doing a little bit of both. I was talking to promotional companies trying to get a right deal. The deals weren't right. A lot of them was trying to lowball me.
Mhm.
Um, I made so much money in the amateurs. I was like, why would I leave the amateurs? I was
Mhm.
gonna be making more money that I was making in the amateurs than I was pro. Uh,
Okay.
that took into consideration. And then I wanted to go back and get a medal bad, but at the same time, like I said, you just have to live in the moment. I went in there, I did it. And the Olympics is hard. It's 4 years. It's not just that one tournament,
Right.
that 1 year. It's a 4 year process just to prepare yourself going to all these international competitions, gain experience of all your opponents, and I already did it. It was like a mind thing with me. I'm like, I already did it. I just want to go back to the Olympics. I want to redo the whole four. I won the worlds. I won the Pan. It's like
Mhm.
it wouldn't fulfill me. It wouldn't make me feel good. Only thing that would have made me feel good is the Olympics. And if you're hot not in it, you can't do that.
Right.
Not going out to a tournament feeling like you can give it your all because you don't care about winning a tournament.
All right, so I want to break down a few things you said there. The very first one that caught my eye, my attention was you talked about the payment aspect. I think a lot of people would think and assume that you'd make more in the pro ranks than you would amateur ranks. Take us through that. How does that work overall? And is it now, are you in a better position at this point in time financially? Or how was the comparison between the two aspects?
Um, USA boxer, they take care of you when you're in the Olympics. They house you, feed you. You can save so much money. They give you health care, the best health. You can
Mhm.
go to the doctors every day if you want to. So that's great. Um, get to travel. You don't got to pay for no travel. So when you're taking account expenses like that, it was just great because I can get hurt at any time and still be on payroll. Huh? You can pay you on the team. I get hurt
Mhm.
in boxing. I get sit down. I'm not making no money.
Okay,
I
good
gotta go to
point.
the hospital. Yeah, I probably just made this much from a fight, but say I got hurt in the fight, a torn uh, rotator cuff, and I gotta go to the hospital. I gotta pay for MRI. I gotta do that. It's not really making no money. So I was just
Mhm.
being smart.
All right, so I'm interested in the financial aspect now because boxing is one of the unique sports. For those that don't know the business side of it, when you reach the top, there's obviously going to be plentiful amount of money. But that first few years of building yourself up can be kind of rough in that aspect. Can you take us through that aspect? How do you manage those situations as you are in your early stages of your pro career now?
Well, can you say that again?
Yeah. So I know for a lot of people that might be tuning in, they don't necessarily realize the business side of boxing. For a lot of guys, when you make it to that top level group, you're pretty much set financially. But when you're working your way up, it can be a little bit difficult. As you've now made this transition, how has the adjustment been for yourself as you've now trying to progress and gone through this next process now?
Being smart, got to manage my own money on that side, and it's not really a big transition. I'm still fighting. Only
Right.
thing is, I know who I'm fighting weeks prior. I just get to do film, a lot of film, and just study my opponent. But other than that, it's not really too much of a big adjustment.
All right. Now, the other aspect I wanted to talk to you about over the duration of the past year for yourself was, as you said, okay, so you're kind of going back and forth between possibly staying in the Olympics for 2028 or going pro. When did you officially come to your own personal conclusion and say, you know what, I'm done with the amateurs, I'm going to go pro? When was that?
That was, I'm gonna say around April.
Okay.
Around April, I was like, I'm gonna go pro. I was down at the USA Training Center, Olympic Training Center, and I couldn't do it. I didn't want to be there no more. I was like, I'm about to redo 4 years of my life. I'm not the type of person go dwell, and I feel like that's what I was doing, staying there. I already was there since I was 16 in high school, going back and forth, and I just didn't want to be there no more. I was ready for a change in life, something more exciting.
All right, so that's an interesting component there as well, because I know for a lot of people, like you said, they might want to go back and accomplish these things, but you make that transition and you say, okay, I'm going to go pro. That's around April time for yourself. And then you talk about the aspect there were a lot of people lowballing you. So I want to ask about the promotional aspect, because getting the right promotional person is huge for any athlete. Now, for yourself, we know you're MVP, you're Jake Paul, Nikisa, all these different people. What was about MVP and what were some of the lowballing offers you're talking about? Like, what other companies were you talking to?
I ain't gonna say that. Uh, might work with them in the future. Now they see.
Right.
I mean, I understand it though. Um, a lot of them wanted me before I lost in the Olympics, and then it all feel like went down. But also, I didn't make a choice right away after the Olympics. Like I was just like clearing my mind, let my body heal up,
Hmm.
and yeah, that one went to a lot. Like they ain't seen me in a long time, but my my thing with Jake Paul is made the right offer, and then the way he promote, he's a great promoter. I'm
Hmm.
not big on promoting. Like I don't do all the fancy hand pad work on the back or on the hand pads. I don't do all that flashy stuff or make that type of content.
Hmm.
And he do a great job. The team, Most Valuable Promotions, they do a great job at promoting.
All right, so I like what you said about Jake Paul, because I know he's a very controversial figure in boxing right now. I've always had the standpoint of I think he's overall good for boxing. What he's done on the women's side is phenomenal. Obviously, the card he's building is phenomenal. The guys alongside yourself in terms of the prospects, up and coming rising stars, I think what he's doing for boxing is huge. You are now part of him. Obviously, you've signed him Most Valuable Promotions. What makes him special, and how bright is the future of what Jake Paul, Nikisa, and MVP is building right now?
It's very special. Like I said, they breaking world records, and Mike Lenardi a big part of that. I've been
Hmm.
knowing him since the amateurs, and I trusted him a lot. Rather than go, already had like a sense of trust with him.
Okay.
So that was a big part. Like Jake Paul had MVP had the right people on their team. They had the right people, and I just felt safer signing with them.
If I'm not mistaken, you also had a prior relationship with Jake Paul. I know he was a part of the Olympic training camp and those type of aspects as well. Walk us through that aspect. What was your relationship like with him, and did that factor into the decision at all?
Yeah, I hung around him for about a week. He was a cool dude. Um, Told us a lot about his story,
Mm-hmm.
so you really get to know him a little bit more. And the fact that he even took on going to the training center to even sparring with the top heavyweight in the U.S., doing some technical sparring, and it made me have a newfound respect for him.
All right, so I asked you in the beginning your game plan, your outline for the future, and your blueprint. How about for MVP? From what you've discussed with them, what do they see for you? What's the future look like for you on from their standpoint?
They say I'm gonna be a star. They're just moving me the right way, make sure
Mhm.
I get the right experience. They already started me off with 6 rounds. Probably do that for another year or two. Move up there 8, 10,
All right.
and be at there for the championship fights, 12 rounds.
You are 22 years old, super featherweight right now, 130 pounds. Is this the weight class that you see yourself fighting at when the day does come that you're going for world championships? Is this the weight class you see yourself being at, or do you see yourself moving up by that point in time to 135 or even higher?
Yeah, I feel like I see myself moving up to 135.
Okay.
Like I don't know, I'm always grown. I'm a fat boy at heart. I stay eating.
All right. So you feel like when things really start to settle down, I know earlier you said 4 years from now, you feel like you're going to be going for world championships at 135, maybe even 140 then?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Gotcha. Now, how about your return then? Obviously, you fought just a couple months ago now, but when do you want to get back in the ring? Could we see this year, next year? When do you want to get back in there?
This year or next year, I'm just waiting on the call.
All right.
I'm just waiting on the call. Yeah, just staying patient, staying in the gym. Gonna be in the gym right after this interview. Always ready.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I have a couple questions I want to ask you, not necessarily about yourself specifically, but the 130-pound weight class overall. And just to kind of pick your mind, I see what you're at boxing wise within this aspect. One of which is this: there are rumors of the Emmanuel Navarrete fight, whether that's going to be the rematch with Charlie Suarez, or people are wondering could it be a unification Sugar Nunez or Ray Ford. Out of all those options just said right there, which fight would you personally want to see the most? And in that fight that you want to see the most, who do you have winning it?
I would see Navarrete versus Ray Ford
Okay.
because I've had a chance to be around Ray. Cool. I sparred him a couple times. I like his style, and I think he could be one of the next big stars. He well on his way
Yep.
right there. And I feel like you give him a fight like that, Navarrete, and he gonna show the world what he could do.
So you'd pick Ray Ford in that fight then?
Yeah,
I agree. Mm-hmm. The other one is coming up very shortly now. It's been announced. Oshtaki Foster, Stephen Coolboy Fulton. They'll be fighting now. Who do you have winning that fight?
I never really seen them two fight like that.
Okay.
Um, I'm not the biggest box fan, so
Okay.
I'm, yeah, I can't even say. I never really seen them two fight.
So that's interesting then. So for yourself, you'd say you're more so somebody that just locks in on your own personal career. You're not actually more of a fan of boxing as a whole.
Yeah, it take a lot for me to watch. I watch like casual fan stuff, like the big fights, like the pay
Right.
per view ones. Or if you my I grew up in the amateurs with you, and I want to see you do great. Everybody
Right.
in the area.
I also want to ask you about this aspect. Growing up in Maryland, when we talk about the DMV at large, obviously it's one of the best places in all the world, in my opinion, in terms of athletes, whether it's basketball, it's football, it's boxing, whatever it might be. Once I appear, we lost him real quick.
Okay, there we go.
Can you hear me all right? Tesla, can you hear me all right? One sec. All right, so as I was just asking Jahmal, one of those aspects is about being in from Maryland. Obviously, in my opinion, it's one of, if not the best place in all the world in terms of areas for athletes, whether that be basketball, football, boxing, you name it. You growing up out there, what about growing up in the DMV, Maryland area really instills that mentality, that ability to become such great athletes? What about it just develops those type of athletes?
I don't know. I think it's the background.
Hmm.
The background, all three states, DC, Maryland, Virginia, and I actually started like growing up. I grew up in Southeast DC, moved to Maryland, PG County, Maryland, it's like right near each other.
Okay.
I don't know something. That's what you got to do to make it out. Most times,
Hmm.
I'm gonna say I don't even want to talk like on the educational side. I guess you ain't really. It's in the statistics. Forget it. I love my city, but like you don't get the best education
Hmm.
from public schools here. So most kids come from like a grimy background from Section 8. They got sports. They got sports to make it out, and that's most time where the kids come from.
All right.
These
And,
areas.
and then the other question wanted to ask you was the nickname Hard Rock. How did that nickname come to be? How'd you get that?
I just came out one fight and an announcer said it. He said, "Man, you need a nigga name," and then he just said Hard Rock, and then everybody went with it. Like, okay, go Jahmal Hard Rock Harvey.
All right. Well, I've got one final question for you, and it's this question I always like wrapping up every interview with, and it's talking about your legacy. Obviously you're just starting your pro career, but one day, you put down the gloves, move on from boxing. When that day does come, what do you want the legacy of Jahmal Harvey to be?
He was a winner. He gave it his all. He was an exciting fighter. Don't care about. Of course, I hate losing. I'm super competitive, but if I do lose, it's gonna be a competitive fight because you gonna have to really win to beat me.
Absolutely. Well, Jahmal, I appreciate you for taking time to come on today, man. It's been a blessing and honor having you on the show, and I cannot wait to see what God's got in store for you in the future, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Of course, you're always welcome on, man. God bless.
Bless.
I appreciate you guys all for tuning into that interview. I have it clipped up, edited out, and then posted on my YouTube channel after the show, a little bit sometime after it. I'm going to go on a short commercial break, and then I'm going to get into the rest of the show, which will be recapping the fights from this past weekend and getting into some boxing news. Now, if you guys have any comments, questions, or topics for me to discuss on today's show, make sure to leave it in the chat, and I'll make sure to address them when I get right back from the show. Your comment will also come up on the show when I get back as well. I'll see you guys very shortly. God bless you guys. I'll see you in a few minutes. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the SchuZ Show. Hope you guys are having a phenomenal Monday so far. All right, so what we're going to get into the remainder of today's show is going to be a recap of the fights that went down this past weekend. I will also then be progressing into his time where I'll be discussing some boxing-related news as well. However, for those of you guys that are tuning into the show, if you guys have any comments, topics for me to discuss on today's show, or some differences and opinions on what I'm going to say on this show, make sure to leave those thoughts in the chat, whether that be on X or YouTube, wherever you guys are listening to this on, and I'll make sure to address them. Your comment will pop up on the screen, and we'll go from there. So, without further ado, let's get right to it now. The big fight from this past weekend was in the UK, Nathaniel Collins versus Cristobal Lorente, and they fought to a split draw. The scorecards read as followed: 115, 113, 113, 115, 114 to 114. I'm fine with that scorecard. To be quite frankly honest with you, I'm quite fine with that. I feel like this was a fight that was neck and neck, very close, highly entertaining fight, but I don't feel like there was a separator. Like, at the end of the day, these guys, Nathaniel Collins, now I'll say this, mid-fight, I thought he was going to go run away with the fight. But he went all in on the 6th round. And in that 6th round, while he did look great in that 6th round, he emptied the gas tank way too early. That allowed Cristobal to win a lot more of the rounds in the back half of the fight. And so at the end of the day, this was a fight where I could see some people saying Nathaniel Collins won it by a round. I could see some people saying Cristobal won it by a round. Having it as a draw, I have no problem with it at all. I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch from this fight, but overall, I'll be honest, both guys were solid. I don't think either guys just elevated themselves to a world-level fighter right now, and I feel like this was a good, solid fight, and the proper scorecards were given as well. This was the most impressive performance from the weekend, though, I'll be honest with you. Willy Hutchinson defeats Mark Jeffers by TKO in round 7. All right. I talked about this on Friday, and I said this was going to be one of the most intriguing fights. Why? Well, for one, Willy Hutchinson is a man that I am very high on. I think he's got a very bright future. I think he is going to be a player in the light heavyweight division for the next handful of years. And yes, he lost his fight against Joshua Buatsi a year ago. It is what it is. You lose fights when you fight the best, and I feel like this was a great bounce-back performance by him. Round 7 TKO. And for Mark Jeffers, at the same time, I don't know where he goes from here. I thought it was very interesting. Now, I applauded him for moving up in weight classes to 175 and immediately taking on a guy who I deem a top 15, top 10 type light heavyweight at the moment. It was a very gutsy move. It didn't go according to plan for him. I think he learned a lot. But now for Mark Jeffers, you do have to evaluate yourself. Where do you go from here now? You are a rising prospect. You are still young. I'm not writing him off by any stretch of the imagination. But I am going to say this. I look at Mark Jeffers right now. I look at the position he's now in. He's coming off of a loss to Willy Hutchinson now. He's coming off of a loss a couple months ago already to Sean Hemphill, just in, that was June or July, I believe that fight went down. He has lost 2 back-to-back fights now. Not the best look for himself overall, but I do feel like he's going to bounce back. He still is young. He's still a solid fighter. Much props for taking the fight against Willy Hutchinson. But the main storyline here is this. Willy Hutchinson is going to be back. He took a year outside of the ring, got himself worked out, and I like the way he looked on Saturday night. I think he looked phenomenal on Saturday, and I feel like we're going to see a lot more Willy Hutchinson. I hope we see a lot more of him because I do love watching Willy Hutchinson when he fights in that ring. Other notable fights that went down on this card, Reese Lynch, he defeated his opponent, 60-54 in the scorecards. Ashton Brown defeated Paul Keane by TKO in round 2. And then Louis O'Doherty, he captured the British lightweight title. He halted Reagan Glacken in round 10. Going over to what happened on Friday night in the Hollywood Fight Nights, Umar Dazembakov, he moves to 13-0 with a KO in round 2. And then in the final seconds, we have a potential KO of the year candidate where Kane Sandoval scores the KO in round 10. Kane Sandoval is a very intriguing prospect. I think we're going to see him continue to rise up the rankings. Umar is a great fighter as well, but Kane has legitimate power. He's a very exciting fighter as well. I feel like that was a great performance by both guys in that situation. All right, there's one other fight I need to get into before we move on to boxing news. I'm not sure if you guys saw the fight, but Angel Fierro was fighting as well. Let me make this very clear. What in the world was Angel Fierro thinking? If you're in a position where you just gave us a possible fight of the year earlier this year against Isak Pitbull Cruz. You were supposed to have a rematch. Things didn't go according to plan. It is what it is. But you are still in a great position. Your name's in a high place right now. And for your being Angel Fierro, you decide to go kick your opponent, Abraham Cordero, in your bout. Ends up getting you disqualified, and now you look just like a fool. He was in prime position to go get another big fight. He gave us a possible fight of the year contender earlier this year. He's in the top 3 fights of the year in my eyes. And you decide to go into a fight, lose your cool, and you kick your opponent. Rightfully so, he gets disqualified. But what in the world was this? This is something you don't see very often, let alone from somebody who is a contender in some people's eyes, a man that has fought on the big scene. You don't see guys at this level lose their cool that often. Absolutely shameful and embarrassing moment here. I don't know what he was thinking, but guess what? He just lost himself a fight in that point by being disqualified. And on top of that, now you put yourself in position where I don't know if you're going to get another big fight again. You had a big possible rematch lined up with Isaac Pitbull Cruz. You had other opportunities on the line, and you just threw all those things down the drain because you wanted to lose your cool and go and kick a man. This is something that should not ever be tolerated in boxing. It is absolutely shameful. When you are boxing, it is a dangerous enough sport to go out there and possibly risk the health of your opponent by kicking him and doing something illegal is absolutely shameful and a disgrace. So I'm glad he was disqualified, rightfully so, and I do not know where he's going to go from here. But that's 101 lesson right there on how to tarnish your legacy. Not sure what he was thinking. Let's go to some boxing news. Eddie Hearn has confirmed that talks are ongoing with PIF/Turki Al-Sheikh, among others, to invest significantly in/buy outright the Hearn's remaining stake in Matchroom Sport. Pitch International currently owns 13% of Matchroom. All right, very interesting news right there. Obviously, it would be intriguing to see what Eddie Hearn does. Does he continue to try managing Matchroom? Is he going to be a part of it? I don't have that answer currently, but there are negotiations. Just wanted to bring you that news to you guys. I think that's very interesting to see what happens, because if you are Turki Al-Sheikh and he wants to take over boxing and be essentially a monopoly like the UFC, he's going to have to essentially buy out the Frank Warrens of the world, the Oscar De La Hoyas, the Eddie Hearns, the Bob Arums, so on and so forth. He's going to have to do this type of move. And so if that ends up coming to fruition, it'll be very interesting to see that. Former unified champion Jaron Boots Ennis, who is returning to the ring making his 154-pound debut this weekend at super welterweight, he will be fighting Uisma Lima on Saturday in Philly, and this will be for the WBA interim world title, which means that the winner will be ordered to fight for the full WBA world title against Abbas Baru. This is pretty significant news right here. I am not shocked to see this happen, but for Boots Ennis and Lima fighting, they're going to be fighting for an interim world championship, meaning that there's going to be a pathway to a world championship. Very intriguing news here, because I believe that Boots Ennis will take care of Lima quite easily, and I think there will be pressure on Boots to perform and do just that in the ring on Saturday. But assuming he does that, he's interim world champion, gives him a fight against Abbas Baru, who he should be able to defeat quite easily as well in early 2026. You then become world champion at 154, adding another belt at another weight class to your resume. And then here's other big news that came out a little bit ago. Boots' team and Bakram Murtazaliev's team have already had preliminary discussions regarding a future unification fight if Boots becomes the WBA champion. Both camps reportedly have no issues in making the unification happen. That means that by mid-2026, we could see Boots Ennis already having possibly 2 of the world championships at 154. Now, I would also like to go out there and see possibly him fight Virgil Ortiz if Virgil Ortiz can go get a world championship as well. If we get a situation where to end 2026, we get Boots versus Virgil Ortiz, assuming Virgil goes and gets a belt or maybe 2, we could see a massive unification or even undisputed fight between those 2 guys. So just throwing that out there, that would be a massive fight to possibly make happen. Raymond Muratalla might potentially vacate his IBF title. If so, Andy Cruz will be fighting for the vacant IBF title. I'm sorry, what now? This would make no sense whatsoever. I don't know what Raymond Muratalla is doing. Now, I know he's a part of the top rank situation, and they're handling everything horribly at the moment. But for Raymond Muratalla, you became world champion, and now you're just going to go vacate your belt without defending it? You didn't necessarily, we all knew when he fought, he was fighting for a world championship because we all assumed that Vasily Lomachenko was going to retire, as he did. But if you're Raymond Muratalla, you essentially are an email champion, and then you're not even going to go out there and actually fight and defend your belt? Why? Why would you not take a fight against Andy Cruz? What are the big fights you have on the table right now? Obviously, there are fights we could have loved to see Floyd Schofield possibly in a fight there. We could have seen other big fights. For some reason, those fights are not happening. Now you're in position to go fight Andy Cruz, and you don't want to make this fight happen. There's rumors that you might vacate your belt because you don't want to fight Andy Cruz. First and foremost, that is essentially ducking in its clearest form right there. Secondly, why? Why not get that fight on your resume? Why would you give up your world championship for Andy Cruz? No disrespect to Andy Cruz, but it just makes no sense whatsoever. Why are you not trying to unify? Why did you not go make other fights happen? You had plenty of time. The entire way that Raymond Muratalla has been handling the situation as the IBF world champion has been embarrassing in my eyes. I don't understand what he's doing. It makes no sense. There's no legitimate rumors. Nothing's coming to fruition. So if he does decide to vacate, it is what it is. Short-lived reign, but I'm not sure what's going on right there. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. Dmitry Bivol is expected to make his return to the ring in early 2026 as he continues to recover from his surgery. Massive news right there. I'm assuming he probably would do a tune-up fight first. However, if he does decide to go out there and fight, possibly better be it for the trilogy. I think we all would greatly appreciate that and get that trilogy over with. We all want to see it. Make it happen. The winner then can go out there and face David Benavidez. So that's the situation I'd love to see happen with that one right there. Last thing to wrap today's show is the big news that came out earlier this morning. I gave rumors of this happening on Friday's show. And if anybody tuned into that show, you would know exactly what I'm talking about because I made some clips about it as well. And that is in regards to Ben Whittaker. Now, I just made the point out there saying, listen, I think Ben Whittaker should go sign with Matchroom and Eddie Hearn. I felt like the mix was going to be perfect. I would have loved to have seen it happen. And here we are. It is official. Ben Whittaker has signed a long-term promotional deal with Eddie Hearn's Matchroom Boxing and will fight on DAZN moving forward. This signing is significant the signing of Ben Whittaker is significant for Matchroom. Why? Because it gives them more leverage for the TV deal with DAZN, which expires in 8 months total time. Now, phenomenal. You guys can hear my thoughts. I could easily repeat what I said on Friday's show. This is a match made in heaven. Ben Whittaker going in Matchroom is perfect. You guys can already see the promotional content. They did the announcement. They did the funny joke about getting the deal negotiated. In that video, Matchroom knows how to make great content. Matchroom knows how to build true superstars. And I think that the partnership of Matchroom and Eddie Hearn with Ben Whittaker is going to be phenomenal. I'm glad to see Ben Whittaker make this move. I think Ben Shalom was doing horrible things to his career, and obviously he did some good moments. Not as bad as he's managing Adam Azim, but still not very good either. I would love to see this partnership happen. I think it's going to flourish. I think we're going to see Ben Whittaker rise quickly to becoming a world champion, world champion contender, and I think we're going to see Ben Whittaker become one of the biggest stars in boxing with this partnership. That's how high I am on this. I absolutely love the signing for both parties. I think it's a match made in heaven for these two guys. So I'm ecstatic for this. I love that they got this deal locked in and done, and I think it's going to be huge for both Matchroom, Eddie Hearn, and Ben Whittaker, and possibly even DAZN. They're going to have that TV deal locked in, and they should be able to get a nice extension there in place as well. All right, so with that being said, though, I think that's all we got for today's show. I don't see any more comments in the comment section. Let me just double check this real quick. Yes, we should be good with that one. So with that being said, though, I appreciate you guys all for tuning in today's show. I will be back live tomorrow. No guests will be on tomorrow's show, but I will be back live tomorrow night. So I hope you guys have a blessed rest of you guys Monday. May God bless you guys all. I will be back live, though, later on today for a basketball show that will be going down at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So make sure to tune into that. If you guys are just tuning in for boxing shows, I'll see you guys back live tomorrow in the evening. So may God bless you guys all. I hope you guys have a blessed rest of you guys' day, and I'll see you guys back tomorrow. Shoes out, and God bless you guys.